Gen Z is not drinking. Robots are bartending. What has the world come to? This is something that I never thought I would have to talk about, but today I'm gonna tell you how to order a drink at a bar, how to interact with people, how to be a real person in the real world, ordering a real drink. Welcome back, friends, it's Anders. Today we're having a chat. These are 5 tips on how to order a drink at a bar. Believe it or not, there's a lot of anxiety when it comes around ordering a drink, especially in a busy bar. So hopefully with these guidelines, you'll be more confident in trying something new and going out and ordering a drink at the bar. I also want to preface this by saying that I spent 20 years of my life behind a bar, actually making drinks. I'm no longer doing that. I'm here on YouTube right now for the foreseeable future, but I actually was in the service industry, the restaurant industry, going all the way back to when I was 14. Washing dishes, bussing tables, all that stuff, waited tables, I was behind the line, blah, blah, blah. I did it all, but I spent most of my time behind the bar. Also, I'm coming at this from a cocktail bartender's point of view, but I do think that the things that I'm gonna tell you are gonna work in a number of situations. Which leads me right into number 1. Read the room. What I mean is have an idea of what kind of bar you're in. There are a lot of different kinds of bars. You've got your craft cocktail bars, right? Obviously that's where you're gonna go for a nice cocktail, but are you at the club? Are you at a dive bar, a total hole in the wall? Are you at a tiki bar? Are you at a brewery? Are you at a wine bar? Are you at an airport bar? I don't know. Are you at a supper club? That's another one. There are a gazillion different kinds of bars. They're all bars. You're gonna order drinks at all of them, but there's gonna be different rules based on where you are. Number 1 is what's available. If you go into a brewery and they only serve beer because maybe that's all that they are licensed to do, then you should probably drink beer. As opposed to ordering a Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. You kind of want to have an idea of what other people are drinking, what they're serving, look at the back bar, and if it is, you know, a bunch of whiskey, you're probably safe ordering some whiskey. Odds are you go into a cocktail bar, they're gonna be able to make any obscure or classic cocktail that you can think of, depending on the bartender, of course. Or if you go into a place and it's fully stocked back bar, that's a good sign for cocktails. If they have pour spouts in them, that means they use them quite a bit and they might get pretty busy. So they're pretty familiar with the bottles that are behind them. If they're all sealed up and those bottles are dusty, that means they don't really touch them. They're just for show. And if you want to taste the spirits that are in those bottles, you can just try it neat or on the rocks. That's a safe bet. Now, if you go into a dive bar, which is really a completely different experience. I love dive bars, I gotta say. In fact, I love all bars. I mean, maybe not the club. I'm kind of outgrew the club personally. But a dive bar has got a lot of character. You go in there, it might be a little dirty, it might be a little gritty. I personally like a good dive bar with good people. I've been in some bad ones too. I don't like them all. When I go into those places, I usually drink a beer, and more specifically a bottled beer. That's because I've worked behind bars. I know how it works. When you have beer on tap, you have to clean those lines. And sometimes these places, they don't necessarily care about cleaning the lines all that often. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but I have gone into a place where I know those lines were not cleaned. Now when I go into a place where if it's questionable, I get myself a nice bottled beer, maybe a shot of whiskey, and then just sit back, relax, and enjoy the experience. Take it in. Take in the grittiness. Really lean into it. It's okay. That's what dive bars are all about. But if you are looking for a Queen's Park swizzle, that's probably not your spot. And that brings us to number 2. Have a plan. And when I say that, I am specifically referring to when you go into a packed bar. If it's a crowded room, the place is slammed, then you want to have a plan. Look at the menu first, maybe the specials board, whatever the case may be, talk to the people you're with, and formulate a plan. Then you go up to the bar and you can get your bartender's attention. Now this can be a little tricky. If it's a super crazy busy night, you gotta be patient. And the best way to get your bartender's attention is to make eye contact with them. A little smile also helps. It's best not to be the person who's leaning over the bar, waving a handful of money, or if you happen to know the bartender's name, you're screaming out over the sounds of the crowd to get their attention. It's best not to take that approach. I would advise against it. From a bartender's perspective, please don't do that. But if you absolutely feel like the bartender is not even acknowledging your existence, then maybe ask the person next to you to help get that bartender's attention, because they'll do that. That's just the way it is. They've got a full bar. They probably have a ton of tickets that they're making drinks for, so there's a lot going on. They will get to you. I promise. That's what they do. Now, when you get their attention, there's gonna be very little time for chit chat. That's when that plan comes in handy. You can tell the bartender what it is you want to drink. If it is something that is on the menu, well, then that's a no-brainer. They obviously know how to make that. They want to make that. But if you want something off menu, it's a good idea to know some standard cocktails. There's some cocktails that are easier to make than others. There are some that are more well-known than others. A Manhattan is a great drink to order at any bar because every bartender can make that pretty quickly. Martinis can be a little tricky. Some bartenders like just straight booze because some patrons like that. You might not like that, so take that into account. If you see that they are juicing fresh limes back there, a daiquiri is a great option. They can whip those out pretty quickly. They're really tasty. I love a daiquiri. And they'll get a daiquiri out a lot sooner than they will a mojito. You don't have to be the most cocktail educated person. I love a gin and tonic. Honestly, that's a safe bet. Just order yourself a gin and tonic. It's gonna be cheaper than a lot of the other cocktails they're making. They can get it out quick and it's good. So don't feel bad about going into a fancy bar and ordering a gin and tonic or a rum and coke. If you wanna be fancy with the rum and coke, just call it a Cuba Libre. Now let's slow things down a little bit and talk about when it's not crazy busy at the bar. That brings us to number 3. Talk to your bartender on a slower night, not that crazy busy night that we were just at. That's a good time to chat with your bartender. Believe it or not, bartenders, for the most part, are friendly. At least I like to think so. So you don't necessarily have to have a plan when you go up to the bar. You can sit there, get comfortable, decide on what it is what you want, and if you don't know what you want, ask the bartender. They will probably ask you some questions about like what sort of things you like, and they might come up with something completely original and surprise you. It's a good way to see how creative your bartender is. On the flip side of that, if you know exactly what you want and you've got a specific cocktail in mind and you know exactly the ratios you want because that's the ratios Anders used on his channel and I really like it that way and that's how I want my bartender to make it, you can order it that way, but this brings us back to number 1, read the room. If you're in a cocktail bar, it might be nice to let that bartender make it the way they're gonna make it because their ratios, number 1, it may be exactly the way that you like it, but it may also surprise you. It may be better than the way that you like it. And there's also a good opportunity to talk to them about that drink because odds are they're gonna come back and check in on you. If you tell them, oh, I typically make it, 2-1-1 or whatever the ratios are, bartenders will get that, by the way. If you do start that conversation, then they might start experimenting with different things. And then now you've got a friend behind the bar. It's always good to have an ally behind the bar. So trust your bartender. Number 4, drink what you like. We're all susceptible to peer pressure and don't be when it comes to alcohol. If you want a non-alcoholic drink or a low alcoholic drink, then that's what you should have. If you feel like you want a pink cocktail, have a pink cocktail. If you want a drink in a frou-frou glass, have a cocktail in a frou-frou glass. If the person next to you is just drinking whiskey neat because that's the tough thing to do, don't buy into it. Drink what you want to drink. Bad things happen when you start drinking, especially if you're like overindulging on somebody else's idea of what you need to drink. So just be true with what you want. And don't let people shame you for drinking whatever it is you like to drink. I remember I had one regular at the bar who would come in and he never really knew what cocktail he was drinking, but he would always order a gin cocktail that's pink because he knew that he liked gin cocktails that were pink. And I honestly loved that about him because he just liked what he liked and that's what he wanted. I also had a number of customers who wouldn't drink a cocktail because it was pink or because it was in an up glass. And that to me is more about how you feel you're being viewed by everybody else. It's not about what you want, right? Again, this brings us back to the last one. The bartender can be your ally. They're the one making you the cocktail. So if you don't want to drink, you can even tell the bartender. Basically, what I'm trying to say is don't let anybody shame you for liking something that you like, which goes beyond cocktails, and don't let anybody pressure you into drinking something you don't want to drink. That's just not cool. They are not being your friend in that moment. Number 5, know your etiquette. Some of this is actually things that we've already touched on, like the interaction with the bartender. If it's a busy night, you're gonna wanna keep it concise. And you're not only respecting the bartender's time, but also everybody else in the room. If you are taking up the bartender's time, nobody is getting a drink, not just you, nobody is. So it's just common courtesy to be concise in those moments. On a slower night, you can chat with your bartender all you want. To tack onto that, when it comes time to pay in a crowded bar, you wanna have your payment ready. Be ready to go. Have your cash ready, have your card ready, and if you go in and you're gonna have a few cocktails, knowingly, then open up a tab because it's less back and forth with the server or bartender. And again, you are being more respectful of everybody else's time in the bar. You can help make it a more fluid machine. Speaking of payment, it's good to have a general idea of what tip etiquette is. And this is based on where you are geographically. Google is a good one to ask here as far as what to tip. In the United States, there is definitely a tipping culture. I'm not here to give my opinions on tipping culture. Other places, they don't tip at all. In Japan, they don't tip at all. I gotta say, it makes it a lot easier knowing that that bartender is getting paid what they, okay, again, we're not gonna go down that path. So anyway, just know kind of where you are and what the general custom is around tipping. Another thing that I want to touch on regarding etiquette is it's best to place your order with the bartender. That seems like a no-brainer, but if you look behind a bar, especially a busy one, you're gonna see other people running around. You got a bar back, maybe a busser pops in there, maybe the host if it's a restaurant. Kind of keep that in mind, who the bartender is. It's not to say you can't order through the bar back. In fact, I used to work at a place where the bar back would take orders. That's just how we did things there, and it worked flawlessly. But if they're not accustomed to that, there's a chance that that order could get lost in translation, or something could happen. The clearest path is to go through the person who's making your drink. That's what I say. Best way to know if you've talked to a support staff is they look really surprised when you talk to them. One thing I definitely want to say is drink responsibly. I get it, you want to have a good time. Maybe it's a Friday or Saturday night, you got the next day off, but when you go in, if you want to go back, it's best to control yourself and don't overindulge. Remember, at any point, the bartender can refuse to serve you. They have every right to say, "You, sir," or "You, ma'am, have had too much." Also, the bartender could kick you out. I have refused people service. I have kicked people out. I have banned people from the establishment I was working at because that I can do as the bartender. Because I'm not here just to serve you drinks, but I'm here to monitor everybody so everybody's having a good time and that this is a safe place and you're not gonna throw up all over everyone. All right? So just calm down. That said, if you find a great spot, then I would say go back, support that place, support your local. Go in there, have another drink, have your usual drink. I don't care. Maybe get your name on a stool. Okay, now I'm telling you like you're gonna just be there every day. I'm not saying that. So there it is. Grab your grenadine and falernum, now available. Sign up for the newsletter. Explore. Try something new. Meet people, talk to people one-on-one. What a world. It's out there. And they're making drinks for you? You gotta get in on this. Go do that. Cheers. Bye. Go.